Welcome back to the French Rugby podcast with me, Tim Groves, former Scotland back rower, Johnny Beattie, and ex-France hooker, Benjamin Kaiser. The star guests keep coming, don't they? So we won't keep you in suspense too much longer before we get our guest today on. But how have you guys been? Benji, I can hear a bit of background noise. Is the house coming along?
Oh yeah, same old same. So, but coming along nicely. At least lockdown means that I can fully help the boys. So I've got absolutely zero building skills. I am the most dreadful DIY guy you can find, but I can push, I can lift, I can shove. So that's what I do. I'm basically going back and forth with the skip, just lifting shit. But yeah, so if you hear a bit of banging, a bit of this, there is no chance in the world that I stop, guys, because we're almost there. So I'm pushing them hard.
40 towers.
Every minute counts. Oh yeah. No, it's full blast today. There's some painting, there's some wood floor, and there's a terrace happening. So come on, we'll get there.
And Johnny, how are things in your world? Still hectic?
Mate, all quiet. Mother-in-law's here. Don't know how long she's going to be here, but great to have help around the house. Looking forward to a weird and wonderful this weekend of travel away for Autumn Nations Cup work, which will be great fun. I'm about to jump straight on a train after this, up to Paris, then the day after, get a flight to Florence, do the game, drive to Bologna, go from Bologna to Amsterdam to Paris, and then get to Vannes the next day in France. So it's going to be a weekend of wacky races, but looking forward to some international rugby and some top quality stuff.
That sounds like a hell of a weekend, but we'll get to that in a bit. First, we should get our guest on. It's pretty hard to top some of the guys we've had on recently, but we might just have gone and done it because this man has captained France more than anyone else in the history of the game. The one and only Thierry Dusautoir joins us. How are you, Thierry?
Good, and you?
We're very well. So set the scene for us. Where are you at the moment and what are you up to?
Right now I'm in Toulouse, in my home. But because we can't move so much in France because of the, I don't know the word, in quarantine, you say it in England. So until since 2 weeks ago to the 1st of December, we have to stay at home. So we're waiting for to be released.
And you're still in Toulouse, but just talk us through what you've been up to since you hung up the boots, since you retired.
Well, I stopped 4 years ago, and when I stopped, I started to work for for a company which is called All My SMS. It's a text and voice messaging company, and it is based in Nice, southeast.
Expensive but very, very good company.
Yeah, we have a really good client.
I'm a client, so I'll tell you.
So. And anyway, it was good for me to start working for this company. In fact, I invested in this company in 2008. But when I was there, I wasn't really involved in the management of the company. But when I stopped, I had this objective to work for this company. So it helped me a lot to stop and to decide to stop my career.
And am I right in thinking you've got a background, a degree in chemical engineering as well? Is that not something you're not doing that?
Yes, I'm an engineer, but I understood quite quickly that I wasn't going to work in this industry, because here when I signed in Toulouse, I thought that it would be a nice opportunity for me to work for Airbus, which is really close of my house. But after 1 or 2 years, I understood that I wouldn't be happy with this kind of work. So what I did is I remember it was in 2007. I don't know if you were there, Benjamin. We were preparing the Six Nations in 2007. Six Nations at this moment. Bernard Laporte called 40 or 50 players in Marcoussis, and the objective of this squad was playing. Each player had to play one game of the Six Nations. Unfortunately, just 25 players played. So the rest of the team just did the fitness and all this stuff with the aim to prepare the World Cup. So I had time to to get in good shape and to think about what I was going to do. So I called one of my best friend and one of my main partner in business. And I said, I know that you're a businessman, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do after rugby, but I would like to start to invest with you. If you have a good opportunity, just call me and tell me what we can do together. So he gave me this proposal to go with him on my SMS in Nice, and has been 12 years. 12 years we were working together in this company, but we're still investing in other companies more.
It's really important, Tim, to set the scene on TT, because so he played rugby for 20 years and stuff. So imagine when he started, there were some guys who were still how do you say that, pluriactive, who had the job on the side. So he's one of the last generation of guys who wasn't born into professional rugby, full professional rugby completely. So he still studied. He's actually quite a late bloomer, because he still like invested a lot of time and energy in his studies. And so I think that engineering school that you had mentioned is called l'INSA in Toulouse, and David Skrela is also a qualified engineer and all that. And it's those guys who have the open-mindedness enough to think rugby is not going to be my whole thing. I need more. I need to do more. I need to think about other stuff. And that's always sort of defined him as a bloke, as being more than just a tackling machine. You know, he's always tried to look somewhere else, think about something else, and do something else. So you mentioned the Six Nations, where 65 guys, I think, were called up. There's also 20 of them who wanted to retire from professional rugby after that, because they spent 6 weeks of just training like idiots. I know Geoffroy Messina, a center, who was a mate of mine. He did not get capped after those 6 weeks. So yes, he was fit, more fit than he's ever been, but it was horrendous.
If you remember, after 6 weeks, they told us, okay, finally you're going to have a game, so you're going to play with the Barbers, French Barbarians, against Argentina and Biarritz. So we have half of the team who were just here to have fun, and the other half of the team who are just playing the future in the French national team. So we lost by 50 points. And I remember in the exchange, Bernard Laporte was saying to the guys, you will not go to the World Cup. You will not go to the World Cup. You will not go to the World Cup. No, it was crazy. And you see that 6 months after, we lost the first game against Argentina in the World Cup. So it was a moment quite intense for us. But anyway, in fact, I never planned to be a professional rugby professional player. I just wanted to. It's like I just wanted to play the better game I could, you know, each time, to be better and better. But when I moved to Bordeaux, when I started to be a professional player, and I wouldn't say the academy. How do you say this? Centre de formation.
Academy.
Yep.
Okay, so when I started to be in the academy, it was a way for me to finance my studies, to have a home, to have food, and at the end of the year, they told me, okay, do you want to sign a contract with us? I said, okay, why not? So that's how we started.
So you almost fell into rugby then. You see, because you grew up in Ivory Coast for a bit, didn't you? And you were also into judo rather than rugby when you were younger.
Yeah. In fact, my father is French and my mother is Ivorian. So I was born in Ivory Coast, and I lived there until my 10 years. We used to come in France because, in fact, I have a quite complex history family. My grandfather and my grandmother were from France, went in Ivory Coast in 1949, and they bought the land. So they were living there. So it's like in July, all the family was coming here in France to spend the holidays in the southwest, in a city near Agen. So it's called Casteljaloux. It's really small but nice city. And so we used to spend 2 months there, and we were coming back to Ivory Coast. And when I was 10, my father was called back by the government because he was a teacher. And we landed in Périgueux. If you like the foie gras, you should know where it's settled. So that's it. We stay here for in Périgueux for I stayed there for 10 years. And yes, I started judo when I was 4, and I played judo until my 17. And I spent 2 years playing judo and rugby.
And was it a big help? Because obviously there's other players, you know, Mathieu Babillot, who's at Cast as well, martial artist, loved his judo, and a tremendous athlete. But did that help you? Do you think that gave you a little edge, a bit of difference coming to tackle technique and getting people on the floor with your rugby? Do you think it helped?
Oh yes, of course, because you know that I'm not really famous for my pass. So.
I didn't say it.
So anyway, it helped me a lot because I won a lot of time, you know, because I wasn't afraid when you had a big guy coming with you in front of you with a ball. You know, I wasn't afraid about him. I was just going to him to the contact. And in fact, in the first day, I was just doing my judo techniques. I wasn't doing a rugby tackles, but it helped me a lot. He gave me confidence. He helped me to have my, I would say, my importance in the team, because it's not so easy, because I was quite shy when I was a teenager, and it wasn't easy for me to say, okay, I'm going to be important in a team of, I would say 30 boys who are bigger than me, and it helped me a lot to have my place in this team.
It was the ground and the first steps of leading by example, which is what you've done for 20 years after that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I don't know, but we play together, but I'm not a good speaker. No, I don't like to speak so much. I think in a team you have different personalities. You have different people. So you have people who are really happy to talk, to express themselves. It cost me a lot to talk, in fact. More in moment with a lot of pressure. I remember games we played with the French national team, with a lot of pressure on my shoulders, because I had to represent him in front of the press. I have to talk with the coach. You know, I have to fight sometime with him, and I didn't have so much energy to go to see each guy, to explain them how we were going to play and to talk. So it helped me a lot to have guys like Benjamin, for example, who were glad to talk. It's not natural for them to go to the other guys and to express themselves, to talk, and to build a good atmosphere in the team.
Was that a role that you grew into, Thierry, as a captain? Did you come to enjoy it after a while or not?
It's a no.
No,
It's a definite no.
It's not. It wouldn't be no, because it's not so. Because when you're looking this from the outside, you say, "Wow, it's great." No, just, you know, you're the first player of your team. You're going to just have to, you know, you're going to how do you say this? Take the trophy and to show it to everybody. But it's not this. It's more complex than just this. You have to manage the team, in fact, and it's never easy. Even if the team has good results, it's not easy to manage a team. We're talking about 30 guys. You're talking about relationship with the public, with the press, with your coach. So it's not easy. For me, so it was a great privilege to be the captain so many times on my team, but it cost me a lot. In fact, that's why I was thinking about this, because I was the captain of my national team, but I was the captain of my team in the league. So I had no moment to recover. In fact, I was always under pressure. So I think that in a way, it cost me the end of my career. In fact, because I didn't enjoy the two last years of my career, because I was the team wasn't so good. And I was just thinking about finding a solution to help, and I didn't enjoy the last 2 years of my career. So that's why I was thinking about my answer.
I would love to ask you a question, actually, because it's a question I've never asked you. But so I played for the first time with TT when we were France A, the equivalent of the Saxons. And Thierry is a very, yes, he might be a little bit introvert, but he's a very sociable guy. He's a very easy to get along, happy, smiling, positive guy. And then you became captain in 2009 after a successful New Zealand tour, where he beat New Zealand in New Zealand. So you know you're pinnacle. That's a pretty impressive start. Basically, is as good as it gets. Then you win the Grand Slam 2010. Then you go on to be the best player in the world 2011 and World Cup final against New Zealand that's lost by 1 point. Okay, that's all good. Then I come back in the picture, and then we are terrible for 3 or 4 years. And that's what the last 2 years that he's mentioning is that Philippe Saint-Andre up to the 2015 World Cup, where it was just heavy, it was complicated. He did not have the Lionel Mallet, Harry Nordoki, you know, all those guys that were experienced players, Yashvili and all that Rougerie, whatever, you name them, that were surrounding him in that pre-2011 World squad that were helping him a lot around the leadership. And I remember, so 2015 World Cup quarterfinal, we get smoked by the ABs. That's his last game, my last game, 60 points. But I remember you and your face in the bus after that game. Well, boo, you had a smile back on. You weren't happy about the defeat, obviously, but you were just relieved of all this pressure and just like, finally, I can breathe and I can think about myself. So that's the question I've got for you. Was it really that heavy? So when I came back, basically, my time in the French team, was it really that heavy? And was it a heavy burden?
In fact, you know, after 2010, after the Grand Slam, we went against South Africa here in France.
In Toulouse.
From this game, no, I would say. No, we won in 2009. So after the Grand Slam, and from the end of the Grand Slam to the final of the World Cup, it was hell because we weren't playing so well, in fact. But the difference between this team and 2015 team is like they have a different mindset. You know, it was about maybe more my generation because maybe it was harder to manage because you have to defend your position, you have leaders. But it was great in really hard moments. It was great to have these players with you. You know, you have just to convince them to be. This is the way you have to take, and they were okay. We're going to back you up. So it was easier for these guys. In 2015, it was different. You know, I was feeling that I wasn't part of this generation. In fact, I didn't understand, you know, the way they were thinking. They were thinking the competition. You know, because I had my experience, and I was saying, okay, if you remember, Philippe really liked to give a lot of freedom to the guys. You know, maybe what's happening in Anglo-Saxon's team, they were French. We're not British. We're different. Maybe Jim could talk about this. We're thinking in different way. So you cannot manage us like you're going to manage English guys. So I was quite lost, you know. So I was fighting with this way of management, and fighting with the guys who were just thinking that they were on holidays, you know. Remember, it was like, no, we're preparing a World Cup, so we're not going to do anything doing this, you know. So I was quite lost. In fact, that's why when we lost against the All Blacks, in fact, I was disappointed because it's been a shame, you know, losing by 60 points in a quarterfinal World Cup. In a way, I was released because it's like when you're going forward, you say, okay, something really bad is going to happen, something bad is really happened. You know, you're just thinking about this day after day, after day, and it happened. So I was really honest. Okay, nothing more can happen. So okay, I'm free and I can move forward. That's why I was smiling. I was like, okay, it's over now.
I want to ask you how much was pre-planned about your retirement, because like I know from experience it's different level, but I was captain of Bayonne in Pro D2 and it was tough going every week. Like losing in Pro D2 with Bayonne, it's heavy. There's nowhere to go. You're in the town. Everyone's looking at you. It can be tough. For you at that level and towards the end of your career when it was hard mentally, At what stage did you know you were going to finish? Did you know that was going to be your last tournament when you arrived, or was it something like you finished, you had that relief, and you decided there, okay, I'm done?
No, I think that before the World Cup, I thought I wasn't going to play against again for the French team. I wanted to finish in a nicer way, but in fact in 2004, I would tell you a secret because we were just four of us. in 2014, I proposed to. I got injured, so to my I broke my tendon, my biceps tendon, just before the Six Nations. So I missed the Six Nations, and the coach called me back for the tour in Australia. Was it? Yeah, Australia. And before this tour, I told him, now maybe it's better for me to stop here, because I was starting to feel that I was fed up, in fact. And he told me, he convinced me to go with the team. Tell me, okay, we need you. The team needs you. Needs your experience. Maybe you will not be at 100% of the capacity, but the team needs you. So it's important for the team that you play this game. That's why I accepted, in fact. And when I finished the tour, I said, okay, let's go to the World Cup. But I was just feeling that I was already thinking that it was the end of the story for me.
And you mentioned how almost emotionally tough it is to be France captain. You were France captain for a long time. Were there moments where you thought, I'd quite like to just be a player, just be a back row? Were there moments where you thought, maybe I can play on if I let the captaincy go?
Of course. But it's not so easy, you know. When you say, I told to the coach, I told this time I was just talking about, I said to Saint-Andre, so I just want to quit. And I said to Livremont that I wanted to stop. It's not so easy, you know, but when you have the type of captain like me, who are taking a lot of pressure on his shoulder, it's easier for a coach to manage his team, you know, because I'm taking a lot of part, because you have different types of captain. And my way was like, okay, I wasn't as a second coach, but I was like really involved in the way that the team was going to the behavior of the team, you know. If you ask to Benjamin, I was like always like looking at everybody, that the behavior of each training, say to the guy, okay, we're ready, you're not ready, you know. So it cost me a lot. So the energy you're losing doing all this during the week, you will not have this energy to do your job as a player. So sometimes you feel like confused, and after a game saying, okay, I could have done much more as a player, but I couldn't, because I'm just empty, because this week was so heavy, so hard to manage that I just don't have the energy to do it. So yes, I thought that maybe without being captain, but the coach never accepted. I could have said, okay, anyway, I'm leaving, but for me, it would have been like a felony, you know, like saying, okay, I do what I want to do, and I don't care about the team. So it was my way to help the team if I couldn't help them as a player, as I used to be.
It reflects as well the lack of leaders of that second generation that I was part of. Whereas in 2011, I mean, I didn't even mention Julien Bonner, you know what I mean? But there was 10 guys that could have been French captains.
Yeah, I was named as captain, but you could have Arinaldo Servat, Mas, Nalé, Yashvili, Para,
Rougerie, Traille. Yeah.
They were all captains in the team, you know. It was great, hard to manage, but great to play with.
But then in 2012, 13, 14, 15, if it wasn't TT, then it was the abyss under that. You know, there was a massive gap of experience and leadership and take on the team. So it was a bit of a sacrifice that he had to do. But, you know, that's what great leaders do. They just take it on their shoulders and keep on going.
I just want to talk about some of those relationships with coaches, because you mentioned that particularly your style of captaincy, you were very, very close to the coaches. Obviously, the first one when you came into the France side was Bernard Laporte, and he didn't pick you initially for the 2007 World Cup. I think you've spoken about this before, but that must have been a bit of a blow, even though it was early on in your international career.
In fact, I really like Bernard because he was a quite direct guy, you know. So I appreciate it, you know. I prefer you to tell me that you don't like me or you don't think about what you think about me, and we can move on. So yes, in fact, in 2007, he didn't call me because in 2006, we lost against the ABs in France by 40 points. And
in Lyon, no?
In Lyon, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that game did some damage, I'm telling you.
I would say it's one of the harder games I ever played against the All Black. I don't know if it was because it was the first game, but I don't remember a game as hard as this one. But and I lost by 40 points. Or other games by 40 points against the All Black. But this one was like what the hell? The guy never stopped. You know, they were running everywhere. They were fast. I remember that Jerry Collins one just have I would say percussion
Bump.
Just bump somebody.
Yannick Josion, and he rolled away. Like I was like, never happened. I have never seen this. So I was really impressed by the other. For me, the best team I ever played, the AB's team, you know, I ever played.
But there's a legendary commentary from Bernard Laporte after that game, where he was showing Ali Williams or Brad Thorne, I can't remember, the way that he was running everywhere. And then he turned around and he looks at Pascal Papé, and where are you there, huh, Pascal, where are you? And he even have the courage to say that he's been subbed off. He wasn't on the pitch anymore. But, so it's like, so where are you? See, you're nowhere to be seen. You're not in this work. You're not in that one. And Brad Thorne is hitting people and Ali Williams is running. So he's trying to compare them to tell you that tension. He didn't have the boss to just raise his hands. You subbed me off already. That's why I wasn't anywhere.
When you were going for the training on the pitch, like it was like everybody was scared. No, but really scared. Yeah. I seen like people like great players. I wouldn't mention them, but really great players like shaking their hand like what was going to happen, because the guy was crazy, you know, absolutely crazy. But he had fun. It was fun to play with this team because you have. In fact, there were players that I was staring when I was a younger player, and I had the opportunity to be with them. And it was a moment of the French national team when we were good, in fact. So for me, it was really a privilege and honor to be part of the team. But it's true that Bernard never didn't call me for this World Cup. And Benjamin's friend Elvis Vermeulen got injured, and then he told me once he called me and said, okay, Elvis is injured, so I'm going to pick you up for the World Cup. I was like, okay, thank you. And so you're not happy? No, of course I'm happy. You know, I was quite shocked. Like, okay, it's great. My problem was that I had spent like the 2 last week with William Servat, because we had lost against Clermont in the semi-final of the championship, and I took like I would say 5 kilos more than I used to, just eating, drinking every day. So I said I will not be on the good shape. And when I started the preparation with the team, you know, they did the test for the
body fats,
skin folds, yeah,
exactly. So they put the ranking in the restaurant of the team, with all the team, the 31 players of the team, from the fatter to the thinner, and I was number 3. I was saying, okay, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard.
Yeah, but number 3 still ended up chopping 36 or 37 tackles in quarterfinal in
38.
Cardiff.
38
tackles. It's all right.
No,
I tell
but
you what,
but two
I
weeks
never.
after, I was in good shape, but I tell you, it was quite a shame for me. But anyway.
I don't know what you think, but when there's like a 2-man tackle, you can count one for each and this and that. There's actually a video on YouTube where they show you 38 tackles. Every single one of them was a 1-to-1. So they're actual real tackles. Everyone, well done.
And mate, so obviously you've been really honest there and said that you were 3rd in the fat list, which is not something that most people share. And Julien Bonner, you've already mentioned him. He texted me and said, ask Thierry if he's gourmand. Ask him to be honest. You love your food, right?
Exactly. I struggle every day to try to be fit, but it's hard. I like to eat. In fact, so they used to. So Julien was a really good friend. Used to joke about that. But I really like to eat, and I used to joke about his hair. So
Yeah.
And so we go from that 2007 World Cup, and then Marc Lievremont takes you through to 2011. Just talk to us about the different type of coach he was to Bernard, and then ultimately how it all ended in 2011, because that was very public in the media.
In 2007, the difference between Bernard and Marc. I would say that Bernard is like I would say comment on dit extraverti?
Extrovert.
Yeah.
Extrovert guy. He used to be the leader of his team, and he's got a strong personality. So he's leaving the training, the leaving the video, everything. He's really part of the team in this way, and so he had I would say the control, the control of the mental of the team. In 2011 it was different because we thought that Marc was quite lost at the moment, a lot of pressure. It was like we couldn't talk together, It was a really difference between, it was in one part Marc and the other part the team in a moment of the competition. So that would be the best difference. And they don't have the same personality, in fact. They don't express this in the same way. Marc is more an introverted guy. He keeps the pressure for him. He don't speak so much, and moment he blow away. Like he start to be crazy, like saying, okay, and nobody understand now what's happening, but because he kept so much pressure, he didn't say what he was thinking. Bernard is totally different. Just express blah blah blah, talking to everybody, shouting to everybody. But it's funny. But when he shouts someone else, it's funny. When he started to talk to you, you want to be somewhere else. But
and obviously, still so much is written in French press about the fallout of the 2011 World Cup, what happened towards the end. You have a back and forward in the press with Marc saying, actually it was still me that had control. You have some players saying, look, eventually we led ourselves and we had to take more responsibility and control more as a playing group. Like looking back now with a bit more clarity, how much more did you guys have to do than you would have had to have done with other coaches, for instance?
I think it was what we did was really important. We would not do this. If we would not do this, we don't get to the final. It was important first for the game, the way we were playing, but more importantly, it was great for the team. The relationship we had, because I would say that we had great players, but we're doing, sorry for the word, but we're doing shit. In fact, when you're losing against Tonga, the last game of the pool, and you're just saved by one try, thanks to Vincent Clerc. He didn't even know that he was saving the team doing this. So at this moment we were quite ashamed, and we had no solution because I think the confidence with the staff was broken, and so we were good students, and we were staying like doing what the coach was saying, or we were starting to act as adults, and then taking our responsibilities and remember why we were here, what we wanted to do in this tournament. So, and what is easy when you're playing the quarterfinal is that there's not many options. You live. So I think this helped us to start to wake up. In fact, so in the way to wake up and in a more efficient way, everybody started to grow as a leader and to take their responsibility in the team. So. Talking with the coach, of course, but more part of the training, we were managing them. So I remember Julien Bonner, Emmanuel Renordoki were leading the line out. William Servat was leading the scrum. I was leading the defense. So we're starting to say, okay, it's our adventure, so we're going to manage as we want to, because we have just one shot, so we're not going to lose it. I remember Morgan Parra and Dimitri Achille who were taking care of the offensive game. So so I think it's a good way. You have a balance between what we did and how to say the management of a coach. You have to find a good balance. Because the guys really needs to be involved. Maybe for you as British, it's like what he's talking about. For us, it's natural, because I noticed this. When I remember I played my last game with the British Barbarians, I was surprised to see how the players were involved. In the training. It's not the same way in France. So you have the head coach, who is the boss, and you do everything he's going to tell you, and you don't have so much like
input,
yeah, from the players. So in this moment we say, okay, we're going to give our input. Is our workup. We don't care about what you think, what you could say. We're doing whatever we want to. So. We didn't want to work out, but in fact, it was quite really interesting. It's a really great memory.
I think one of the things he seemed to have a problem with as well, that was very public, was celebrating after the semi-final. I know you spoke in the build-up to the final that year about how you didn't feel like you got enough respect from the New Zealand media in particular, and that was a big thing in the lead up to the final. But I just wonder about that semi-final. What happened in the lead up to the final? Did you go out and celebrate the semi-final? I mean, why wouldn't you? And how much of an issue was that in camp?
When Mark said les sales gosses in the equipe. Well, in fact, we didn't understand what happened, because we had a drink in the hotel. He said, okay, maybe it would be good for the team that you stay in the hotel, you don't go out. And I would say 90% of the team say, okay, don't worry, we know that we're going to play a final next week, so we're going to be focused on this, and we'll just have a drink here together with our friends and family in the one room of the hotel. But you had a part of the team who was already out of the team. In fact, wasn't playing anymore. And the guy said, okay, we're going out. And he took these guys and said, okay, they didn't respect me, and he called us Salgos. And this, I would say, was a big problem in the team, because I was furious about this, and I told him, and we had a big meeting with all the guys, and yes, okay, you can't do this anymore, because it wasn't a good way to speak, and to, at this moment, I think that it wasn't helping, in fact.
you think it was more representative of the feeling he had that his control was slipping away? So it wasn't so much about the fact that you'd gone out and had a beer, a few players. It was more the fact that he'd maybe lost control and he was lashing out. He was angry.
I never spoke about this with him, in fact. So maybe you have this saying, okay, he was feeling that the authority was going away, or maybe he was a way for him to make us now focus, not to be to stick it our anger, you know, our how would you say this? Maybe it was a strategic play, I would say. Like, okay, maybe I'm going to say this. They're going to be angry. They will be still focused on the game. So you have the two options, in fact, because if you remember well, we won against the Welsh team, but we didn't play so well in this day. So maybe it was a way for him to put the pressure, to still putting the pressure on our shoulder. I don't know, in fact.
I've been very nice to him, because that's a conclusion you can take once you lose the final by 1 point that you could have won. It's easy to say once you've done an incredible World Cup and you guys literally strapped a pair on and took the team from shit against Tonga to losing the final by 1 point, to then say, oh, it was all the mind game. I was trying to push the guys to the edge and this and that. For me, that's too much. That's not true. Maybe I think he lost the control of the team after the Tonga game, and you guys took the reins of the team after that game, decided over your own fate, and to then a couple of weeks after say there was all strategy, for me, is complete horseshit.
But if you know, it was quite like players like like Lionel Nalé, squad guy. He was crazy about what he was saying. Like it's absolutely nonsense. You can talk to this about your team. You're not supporting your team, in fact, because you have to remember at this time we had a lot of pressure, because you have the New Zealand press saying, "Okay, it's a shame to have this team on the final. It's a shame for rugby, for international rugby." It was like, oh, come down. We're just playing rugby. It's like it's going to be easy for the ABs to win this game. And we had our head coach saying this on the press. It was like too much. So we were really upset at this moment.
And one other thing, I think you have to put into context what happened at that World Cup as well. Those few quiet beers, it sounds tame compared to what else went on with England and Ireland out in bars. So I think you certainly weren't on your own in terms of having a night out. I think everyone was doing it. So, but when you look at moving on from there, we've spoken about Philippe Saint-Andre as well, about Bernard Laporte. When you look at the France setup now, Thierry, and Fabien Galtier, I mean, I'm sure you would have loved to play under Sean Edwards as well. Do you kind of reflect on your career and a part of you think, I wish I had that structure. I wish I had a bit more, because I know that there's a lot of talent at the moment, but it looks like they've got the coaching sort of set up right now as well.
No, in fact, the structure of the coaching for me is the rugby of 2020. Each team you have this kind of structure. What I would have liked is like maybe for the guy from my generation, it's like you got quite a frustration, because that you didn't give 100% of your potential for your national team, because you didn't have the structure. You have so much fight between the league and the union. We didn't allow you to train in a good way, to recover in a good way, and to be focused in the important moment to win a Grand Slam or to win a World Cup. That's my main regret, I would say. But now we hopefully, we're starting to have a good relationship between the league and the union. before the last in February 2020, and before the international games started to fight again. So it's like it's the big French problem. You know, we never. I think that we will never have any result doing this, even if we have right now a great generation, great players, great individuals, a great mindset in the team, great coach, great staff. But if you don't have a good relationship against the union and the league, they will not help. So we have to. In fact, we really have to work on this.
What would you see as a perfect scenario, Thierry? So I think now the relationship hasn't really changed. I don't see that much between the LNR and the FFR since you played. And you've talked about those frustrations. Obviously now, I feel that the quality of the coaches they have in place with Fabian, with Sean Edwards, is almost papering over the cracks. So there's still those faults between the LNR and the FFR, but because the French team is now operating at a really high level, we're kind of forgetting about the problems. But to find that consistency and have the French team operating at a high level for the next 10, 20, 30 years, what do you think has to change? What's the relationship in a perfect world that would allow guys or the next generation of French players not to have those frustrations and to perform at a high level?
Well, first of all, I think that we're playing too much. We're playing too much. There's too much games for, we have 50 teams in the French championships. For me, it's too much. And for a lot of players, it is too much, and for a lot of coaches, it's too much. But you have to think that the economy of the game is important too. So also, I understand that the president of the club saying to the guys, okay, you're earning a lot of money right now, so we need to have a lot of more incomes than you used to. So we need money, so we need games. So. But for me, the main problem is too many games you have to play, because as an international player, you're leader of your team too. When you go back to your club, so you have to be to be in the front line when you're starting to play the important games. So for me, there are too many games, but it will be hard to change this. Anyway, they started to find a solution, like helping, when Galtier came, he said, okay, I want 42 players to prepare the Six Nations. And because we were in a different mood, the league accepted this proposal and gave the opportunity to Galtier to work with the 42 players. And it helped a lot to build his team. It could have been the same right now if the union didn't ask for 6 games. So we had a fight. They nearly went to they went to the court. I think so. Yep. So it's absolutely stupid doing this. It's like it's losing an energy in doing this kind of thing that you could solve very easily. Because the French team needs everybody. We're just thinking like, in fact, in France, we're working like there's two institutions where we're competing, that if they're competing, everybody is not working for the French national team, and the French national team doesn't understand that maybe the clubs needs to live in a good way to help the player to be to see it involving and to improving and keeping them in good shape. So it's easier maybe in New Zealand, in South Africa, because the union manage all of this. But I don't know what would be the solution. In fact, really, I don't really know it, because there's the problem of the economy. Well, too much money.
I just want to ask briefly on the club side of things, Thierry. You mentioned that you played for the Barbarians and you got an insight into the British way of doing things. Obviously, you won back-to-back titles in the top 14 with Biarritz, then had a hugely successful spell with Toulouse. But I know You were linked with a move to Leinster at one stage, I think, and probably loads of other clubs around the world. Did you ever come close to feeling like you wanted to move abroad and try a different way of doing things?
In fact, I wanted to play in England. When I started to play, when I was in Bordeaux, I remember we played against Saracens, and in front of me I had Richard Hill. Now it was like, can I touch him? I remember this feeling. You had Tim Horan in this team too.
Yeah.
You had I don't remember the Ronald, the number 8 of the ABs.
Randall.
Randall. No, Castagnier. It was an impressive team, but at this moment, I wasn't famous enough to get the attention of the English teams. And few years after, I was playing in Toulouse, and I spoke with Southern Hemisphere teams. I spoke with British team, but in fact, I was happy to stay in Toulouse because I was happy to make the history of the club. In fact, I was really involved in the identity of the team. I really love this team, the city, and for me, it was important that to write good lines of the book of the club. So, and I was happy. I had good mates with me. It wasn't the moment anymore. At the end of my career, I thought after my 2 years when I started to stop, I thought about playing in Japan or in England too. But I had to be honest with me, and I was tired. I was exhausted already. It wouldn't be fair with the club doing this, and maybe I would have I would have put myself in danger, physically, because my mind wasn't ready anymore to play rugby at this level.
What was behind your decision to move from Biarritz to Toulouse? Obviously, it was a great career move long term, but what was the biggest pusher or the biggest factors apart from finance and contracts? Why leave that Biarritz team that was so successful and move to Toulouse?
In fact, it wasn't money. I know Benjamin was going to laugh, but it's not because the proposal was the same between Biarritz and Toulouse. Okay. And at this time, you had Perpignan, who offered me more money than the two teams. In fact, it was, of course, money was important, but it wasn't the main items. In my mind, it always has been the balance between the team, money, and family. I always thought like this. And when I went to Toulouse, I thought that maybe I could have worked as engineer here, so it was easier to be in the place. So I was already thinking about at the end of the career. So I was already preparing the future. It was a bigger city, so for my girlfriend at this time, it was nice for her to live here, to have more opportunity to work. So you have the money, it was good money, and you have the opportunity to play in one of the best teams of Europe. But it's true that I thought a lot about this because at this moment, Biarritz, we had played the final of the European Cup. We had 2 titles of the French Championship. So, and people were saying to me, you will never play in Toulouse, you're crazy, or what are you doing? I said, okay, I'm taking my shot, we'll see. It's an opportunity I'm going to take. If it doesn't work, it's a pity. If I don't do this, I will regret this on my life. So I went to Toulouse, and of course it's one of the best choices on my professional life.
I think it was obviously an amazing choice and stuff, but you had to stop at some point, and they only went to replace you, tried to replace you with Jerome Kaino. And I was just wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about your relationship with Jerome, because I always thought you had quite a tight bond. It's quite funny how two guys who smoke people for a living, tens of thousands of kilometers away. But when greatness recognized greatness, there was always obviously respect, yes, but almost admiration that was equal on both sides. That made sort of quite a tight unit. And I remember you had a good time with him, or a special moment with him and your little girl at the time in the 2015 quarterfinal loss against the ABs for your last game, and you had a few kind words. Is that relationship still alive? Did he ask you, should I come to Toulouse or not, or stuff like that?
No, we never talked about this, but unfortunately we haven't seen us so much since he's here. He used to send me a message like, "Okay, maybe we can see each other." We text each other, but because I used to travel a lot, it's like in fact you understand that the time flies. In fact, I was thinking yesterday that you at the end of the season it would have been 4 years you stopped playing rugby. It flies. So it's a pity. I would have liked to spend more time with him because I have a lot of admiration for this guy, and what he's doing here in Toulouse is great. At his age, what he's doing it's absolutely we used to talk about Colby, Cheslin Colby was a great player, but nobody was going to say the opposite right here today, but we always forgot the forwards, and what the forwards are doing right now in Toulouse is absolutely amazing. And Jerome brought his experience, and I think that it's really important for this young team now to know that they have such a player with them. We can explain them the way that they're going to manage a moment. For example, right now it's a hard moment for Toulouse because they lost 3 games in a row, or no, two games in a row. And they did a draw last week, so it's quite difficult. So having a player like him to keep them calm and to help them to go over this moment is really important. And I'm happy because I heard that he really enjoyed being in Toulouse, the life in Toulouse. But I should spend more time with him. But I think that he did more than taking my position. Benji, I think that he had really helped Toulouse to come back on the spotlight. He helped them to win the title in 2019. So it's an absolutely great player.
He absolutely loves you, mate. He was in Rugby Rama, I think 2-3 weeks ago, and they'd asked him, can you take the place or replace the original destroyer and become the new destroyer for Toulouse? And he said, no, there's only one. It's the original. He's the man. So I wouldn't worry too much. He's got the most respect for you. I wanted to ask you as well about Guy Novs. So a guy that you spent a long time with at Toulouse. And I was always intrigued as well when you see how Toulouse played, the flair, the offloads, how you were encouraged to play. It was fantastic to watch. But what was he like as a coach? My understanding was as he got older, he sort of became more and more removed and became more like a manager in offices and sort of oversaw everything. But what was he like working with in the early days as a coach, technically, and also as a bloke?
In fact, it wasn't talking about so much about technique, It was talking about technique just to pitch, like saying, okay, this pass at the 50th minute wasn't so good, so maybe you should work a little bit. Was just talking about this. In fact, he's I think he could have been a psychology teacher, in university. His greatest weapon that he was knowing us each guy. He could say, okay, just the word can make you. It can give you confidence, give pressure under your shoulder, and it can change you as a good guy, as a mean guy. It was really impressive to see this. You could have noticed this when he used to talk to the other guys, but when he was playing this game with you, you couldn't even fighting in this, because he knew exactly which point he has to touch to change you as a really play as a fighter, you know. And I really like this guy because he was a tough guy. Really, he wasn't. He wasn't an easy guy, but every time we had problems, he was there. You know, he took always the pressure on the shoulder. When the team wasn't playing good, he was saying, "No worry, it's my fault. You know, I didn't prepare them in the good way. They are tired." You know, it was always taking the pressure on his shoulder, and I really respect this because he helped us to work in a good atmosphere with a willing to win every time. Because if he could have been part of the team, you know, as a player, he would have been the captain of the team because he used to play cards. You know, I was near him in the bus. He always wanted to win. It's impressive. So always each games, and I spent like 9 years with this guy, you know, in the bus, and he always wanted to win. And when he was biking with his friends, he always wanted to be first. So this state of mind, you know, he gave us to the team, you know, always being the first. You know, you will not accept to be on second position. And what I really noticed is like when we were starting the final phases, it was like a shark smelling the
Blood.
The blood. It was like really impressive. It was living for this, you know, being number one. So it helped us a lot to never being just happy to be champion, but be happy to go to look for another title, you know. So it's a different state of mind, you know, and I'm really happy to have known this guy because he changed my career and he changed me as a player. And he's the first guy who trusts me as a captain too, because we're just thinking about the national team, but he's the first guy saying, okay, you're going to be the captain of my team. So I want to say that he noticed something in me that I didn't even know. So he saw in me that I could have been a leader of the team. So I started in 2009 to be captain of Toulouse, and I stopped in 2015.
You work with a plethora of extraordinary players. Toulouse have had some of the best players in the world, both foreign and domestic. You look at Josian, Fritz, the guys that you had to play with outside you, and foreigners, Census Johnson, Byron Kelleher, Albacete. Who would be your top players that you've managed to play with Toulouse? Because there have been loads of them. Who would be your favorite players, both as teammates and guys to be on the pitch with that you played with?
That's a really hard question.
There's been so many, I know, but there must be one or two that you look back and you can smile.
I would say Servat, William Servat, Pato Albacete, Yannick Josion, and Vincent Clerc. So maybe this yes.
Decent players, decent.
Yeah,
not bad.
Not
bad.
Byron changed our game too, but he didn't stay so much time, you know, because you say that you talk about these great players, but you have to notice that they stayed a lot, nearly 10 years each of them in this club. It's not something usual. And in the talking about business, Toulouse is not the club that's going to pay you more money, but they stay there because they have the what I talked about, the balance between the atmosphere of the team, the thing that the level of the team, which is going to allow you to be champion and to have fun playing rugby. So I think that this guy Vincent and William stayed more, like nearly 13 years, William more than 15 years, Yannick Josio, I don't remember, even more than 10 years. Pato and me, more than 10 years. No.
Just quickly, Thierry, on Guy Novs, because we've spoken quite a lot about Fabien Galtier, and Benji has said how he was very different at club level and he's maybe perfect for international coaching. Was it the opposite with Guy Novs? Because you mentioned how he knew each one of you inside out, and that psychological element when he was France coach and he maybe struggled. Was that because he didn't know the players as well? He didn't have very much time with them. So is that maybe why he was so much better with Toulouse and not with France? Or was it just the wrong time of his career when he got the France job?
Maybe both of them, Maybe it was the wrong moment of his career. Maybe it would have been easier for him to coach players as of my generation. Because as I said, like 1 hour ago, the mentality has changed, So maybe it was easier for him to manage the guys like me. I think that the main problem of Guy Novs at this moment that he didn't have a good relationship with Bernard Laporte and his team, and didn't really help him to work he didn't give them the tools to work well. So I think it was one of the biggest problem he had at this moment. Anyway, it's true that his 2 years wasn't so good. He didn't have the chance to be able to do a better work for the next 2 years. But I think that I was absolutely. For me, it was absolutely shocking what happened. The way they fired him. It was respectless, and it wasn't a really good way to treat a guy like this. To treat anyone, I would say. And we see that the two last years of with Jacques Brunel wasn't so good neither. So. I don't know if it was the solution to treat like a guy like this in this way. It was really respectless.
And to finish, Thierry, obviously we've spoken so much and got such great insight from you. You've got such good experience, and now what you're doing is so different to rugby. Did you want to get away from rugby completely when you stopped playing, and could you be enticed back in to share your experience in some way to help further either the French national team or Toulouse one day, whether it's coaching or something different?
In fact, when I started, I just wanted to to go away and to forget to burn my boots, everything. But 3 years after, I think that it's something. This happened to a lot of players now after so many years. But 3 years after, I started to come back to rugby by thanks to TV. So I'm working with Canal Plus. So I think it's my first step back to rugby. And I don't think it's my time. I don't think it's the right moment to be involved in a club or the union. But I think that one day I would be happy to be involved in the union or club. I don't know. But right now I am focused on my business, my companies. I think it's nice for me to improve in different way, knowing meeting other people, knowing other people, and it is going to make me improve as a person. So when I will be happy with this, I will try to come back in rugby, because in fact it's a passion. I think when you start this, you never want to stop it. But you really need to have this balance, not 100% to rugby. This balance for me is really important, and for me, I'm in a moment of my life that I'm building something else.
And mate, you're doing a good job. Like, I'm enjoying watching you with Seb Chabal and Michalak on Canal Plus. It's great to see you back on and hear your voice, because people are desperate to get your insight, especially all things French rugby. So having seen the French team and the changes that have come around recently with Fabien Galtier, Sean Edwards, Ghazal, the job they're doing, this new crop of players, how far do you think they can go? Obviously, there's another Six Nations tournament coming around the corner. Autumn Nations Cup starts this weekend. And all importantly, there's a World Cup coming in 2023 in France. How much better placed do you think this French team is now with this coaching group and with the players they have?
Well, I think that they can do a great job. You always dream about winning the World Cup. It's not so easy, but they can do really a great job, because you have the ingredients, you have the players, you have the mindset, you have the staff. Not so sure about the relationship between the league and the union, as I said. That's a main problem for me. But you have, I really like this team because I really like their mindset. They play as a team. They really play as a team. But even if they have the individuals, they are great players, but they want to play together. They enjoy playing together, and you feel that they're really honest in their relationship. It's not fake. What they're doing, they're really fake. They're really happy to see their friend, scoring the try. You really feel that their life, there's a life in this team, and so I hope that they're going to. I think that the next saga should be the 2021 tournament, Six Nations tournament. I think that they really need to win one. It will be the next step, for this team. But I can't wait to see them playing against South Africa or New Zealand. It's going to be the greatest test. So of course, now they are on the top of the wave. They're going to have, difficult moments, but I think it's part of the trip. So what will be interesting, in fact, it's the way they're going to manage this moment, the more difficult moments. So, but they are young players, but I think that we can expect that the French national team is going to be good in 2023. But I think they had already won two things. The first one, the French Barbarians proud again of the national team. Wasn't so easy. And two, they put the French rugby in the spotlight again. Saying maybe look, we've been on holidays for 5 years. We're back and we can play good rugby again. So I think it was really impressive. And I don't know if you remember the way they won against Ireland. Like, for me, Ireland was had the control of the game, in fact, in terms of the way they were playing. But even when they lost the ball, you have the sanction. They had a try of 3 points. It's really hard for a team to play a game like this. So I really like this way that each opportunity, it can transform this as a danger, So it makes them really special. It makes them a really special team.
Thierry, thanks so much for coming on and sharing your insight. And I'm glad everything's going well with the business. We look forward to seeing you more on Canal Plus, but it definitely sounds like the passion is back. So one day soon, Toulouse coach, I'm sure.
Thank you very much. I hope that wasn't so hard with my English.
That was fantastic.
Amazing.
I'm better in Spanish.
Next time.
Thanks, Thierry.
Thank you,
Thanks
guys.
very much.
Thanks a lot. Merci,
Bye-bye.
Thierry. I think you get the full shebang of people of who he is, and a side that people haven't really seen. The complexity, the burden, the toll that it took on him as a bloke to actually drive that team through all that shit. Because he was the thing. And it's honestly, I can't, it's too funny, that image, because I met him in the equivalent of the Saxons. smiling, lovely, bubbly guy, very curious about everything, whatever. And then when I went back to the French team, 2012, Noves and Saint-Andre, and it was in all that pile of crap where he was the only one who had the talisman, who had the flame, and he needed to keep on going and then try to motivate guys. And like he said, everybody's like, go and tell the coach this, go and tell the coach that. And he was the one going to have the tough conversations because there was nobody else in there. And you could tell it was just a weight on him. And then you see him, you lose by 60 points against the ABs and then he's back of the bus and he wasn't dancing. He's just, finally this is over. It's just a bit heartbreaking, but legend of a bloke.
Tremendous bloke. And also I loved his honesty. It was really refreshing. Like, not everybody gives you that insight, but the fact that, he essentially, the captaincy at an early age was thrust on him because he was a leader naturally, probably because of his judo background. So before in teams we have like attack leaders, defensive leaders, line out, scrum leaders. He talked us through all that, but he was ahead of the game in that he was leading defensively naturally before MD was trying to do it. He was almost professional before everyone else was professional. And the rest of it has just come as a consequence. But it's not often you get to hear somebody talk about the burden, the emotional burden, the getting bogged down by that responsibility and the burden. And it makes you realize as well how much has to go right in a club team, in a national team, to have that position of responsibility and for it to be fantastic 100% of the time. It almost never happens. You look at Olivon, the role he's got now, and he's coming at a great time and he's flying. But I reckon they're probably quite similar personalities. Olivon doesn't look like an outspoken guy that talks all the time and wants to grab everybody by the scruff of the neck. He just seems like a natural, good rugby player, a good, honest, hard-working bloke, kind of like Thierry. So, no, I love this insight. That was really great and good to talk to him. Tremendous bloke.
We should have a chat about the Autumn Nations Cup now. So France, Fiji at the weekend, but Johnny, you're covering just about every game apart from that, aren't you?
No, I'm covering France, Fiji. I'm doing that one. So I'm doing Scotland, Italy in Florence, and then I'm getting over to Van in Brittany, or Little Britain, as it's known to the locals up in Bretagne. I know I'm excited. I saw Anthony Boutier's pulled out. He's got a little knee knocks. He's not going to play, which is a shame for him because that's actually a club he played for in Federal 1, I think 5 seasons ago. So it would have been great to see him there, but I just think it'll be fireworks. Like, I don't know what we're going to get from Fiji. I saw that Radrada has also tested positive for COVID, so we're not sure if he's going to play or not. He's got another test, I think, tomorrow morning or Friday morning to see if he can play. Today. So that's it. You just want all these guys on the pitch. It's obviously been disjointed for them. Vern has not been able to prepare them as he would have wanted to. They've been in groups of 4 and 5, training in isolation. So it's going to be hard going for Fiji.
They were meant to play against Portugal. The game got cancelled. So they're very disjointed against a French team, who's going to be pretty much, apart from Boutier, the same starting 15 as last week. So yes, I agree. I think it will be one-dimensional. It will only go one way. But we can see some fireworks in the middle of that. The only thing that I didn't understand about the whole league federation final last deal, Bernard Laporte telling us last week that was the last 3 games, is that so 6 games, 1 friendly against Wales, 1 last Six Nations, 4 of Autumn Nations Cup. They consider out of those 6, it's not 3 times 80 minutes. It's 3 match sheets.
Yeah.
But I can't believe this. So I read an article of Raphaël Ibanez, the French manager, who basically, I think, and this is just a supposition, but I think if you read between the lines, yes, the agreement is that, which means that because they kept their starting 15, Ntamak, Dupont, for instance, the 2 hotness at the moment, Vakatawa, Fiku, Olivon, all those guys who played already 2 games and started, a hell of a lot of them, Bernard Leroux, Paul Villemc, they pretty much had the same starting 15 the whole time. Awas, Julien Marchand, so it's a bit complicated. All of them are playing their last game this weekend. They will have to rotate. That's why they didn't take Serin or Jalibert on the bench, so that these guys can basically lead the team. I reckon next week, Teddy Thomas will be back. Ramos, I think, didn't play the 3-4 games, but if it's match sheets, he was on a match sheet. So I don't know how they're going to do that. But Boutier, if he's injured this week, he can then play next week, whatever it is. And they will have some depth. So they will go to Scotland, and that's okay. Italy, no disrespect to anyone, but they can also rotate and go again. If you read between the lines the words of Ibanez, I think they're then going to, if they have a shot at actually winning it, they're going to try to pull something. Either go to a full-on clash against the league and just pick the players and then go, or just try to find another negotiation in there.
Do you not think this could actually turn out to be a positive? The fact that they've actually proved now that they've got a decent team. We know our starting team, they can fire, they can play, they've won top level games in the Six Nations. Let's put that aside. Now, instead of having to keep backing up with the same players, this actually gives them quite a nice, this political drama as it unfolds is actually helping the French coaches. Look, we know what our first team is, but now we've got a chance to explore what else is out there in the top 14. Who else can we expose? Who else can we give game time? You know, we heard Thierry talk about the 42 players that Fabien wanted to have. We haven't seen 42. We've seen a fixed 23 effectively, but now we're going to get to see the second, third tier of players, and other guys can start sticking their hands up. So I don't know what you think, Benji, but I think potentially this has actually worked in the favor of Fabien and his coaching team.
I see what you mean, but I will have to disagree just because there's so little amount of games for them to get experience. The World Cup 2023, if that's our target, right? It's there tomorrow. I mean, look, in a couple of weeks, we'll be the 1st of January 2021. We'll be talking 2.5 years, and then the World Cup, it's there. It's absolutely nothing. I think it's going to fly by. So 6 nations, 6 games. Summer tours, we don't know if they're going to happen anymore. Let's just say the 6 nations plus this Auto Nations Cup for. That's 10 games, international games per year. So that's 40 games for guys who have zero experience. Moadema Awas, Boutier, Villemc, who you name them, you know, these guys need to play 40 games. You want to win the World Cup or you just want to do okay? Ntamak and Dupont cannot spend another second away from each other. They just need to, you know, sleep together, play together as much as you want.
Well,
and
sleep
finally,
together.
no, but you know what I mean? And finally, we can have the Conor Murray, Johnny Sexton situation. It's a blessing that they play in the same club so they can keep on going. Yes, you need a bit of depth, and I agree with you, but that would have been anyhow a matter of team management or bodies management, because over 6 weeks, it's complicated to play everyone. What frustrates me the most is that, like Thierry said, February 2021, everything's all shining, 42 guys to play, everybody agreed, this and that. And then 2 weeks ago, they almost didn't play. And now next week, they're forced to rotate. So the difference between giving a shot, giving a few caps to extend your squad from 30 guys to actually 40 guys who can physically all play and gain some experience is a difference than taking your whole starting 15, which has already played 3 games, which means that for the next 3, they cannot be involved at all. And I'm not talking even being on the bench. And Dupont and Ntamak coming out for the last 20 to actually, you know, control the game at the end. They will not be involved. So I think there's not a minute to lose. There's not a cap to lose. And I don't think it's a good situation because they need to gain that experience. And that experience, you gain it by playing and by sucking up some tough things. And I do agree with Thierry. I cannot wait for them to be challenged against Southern Hemisphere teams.
Yeah,
because let's face it, they're the real thing in World Rugby.
The one thing I would add is that Fabien can be very quick, after having worked with him, can be very quick to snap. Like, you can be hot and be favorite for 10 games, and then boom, you're in the frigo, as they say, you're in the fridge or in the freezer, the deep freeze for 6 months. Like, he doesn't want to know. So for me, it gives an opportunity. Guys like Anthony Boutier, who like have done, you know, plus marks, have done well, but I know, like, you look at Sergio Ramos, what happened to him on the summer tour last year. He got sent home with a fake ankle injury. Get out of my sight. I know that Fabien will want to build depth.
Thomas Ramos.
Sergio Ramos.
He's the Real Madrid defender.
I reckon he could do quite a good job, Sergio Ramos, at fullback.
But I know that Fabien, you know, if you're not hot and you make an error, you're gone. So I know he'll want to build some depth and get a few more faces in there to see what they can do at international level, 100%.
And just very briefly to finish off, touching on the top 14, we mentioned the Toulouse cast game with Thierry, the draw. What stood out for you at the weekend in the top 14?
That wasn't the most glamorous of games. I think if you saw the post-match reaction of Medard and Combazou, it kind of it told you everything. Medard looked like he just wanted to get in the change rooms and have a cigarette and get home. He'd had enough. And Thomas Combazou was absolutely delighted. So, look, it was horrible conditions, extreme wind, going from one end of the pitch to the other. It was just trying to get the ball up there in the pitch. There wasn't much of a game, but for Cast, you know, they'll take 2 points and move on. They've obviously been struggling as well. So for Mauricio Reggiardo, he'll be delighted to have 2 more points in the bank. And especially away at Toulouse, there's no better place to get points if you're Castres. So, no, well done them.
Yeah, then my mates of Clermont lost in La Rochelle without a bonus point. A bit of a silly decision at the end to go again for a driving more rather than taking the points. But it was a hell of a game. La Rochelle are very impressive, I have to say. They're big, they're physical. Will Skelton, you know, the big second row who's in Saracens.
Beast.
He is having a big impact in that team. And you can tell that he's enjoying it. There's a real spirit about it. And I have to say, I was still very proud of Clermont because I thought they went there to fight. Their defense system is really getting into shape. Benson Stanley, I don't know if you remember him, the All Black center from Auckland Blues and stuff, one of the probably the hardest tackler I've ever met in my life. Has come on board as defense coach in the summer. Nobody really has spoken about it. It took him a while, and now the noise that I've got is that he's finally getting his real input into things, and you can tell the results. They were there to fight, to tackle everything that was in front of them. Gave a hell of a game. Jules Plisson said it was the toughest game he's ever played in his life. Pretty much the fly half from Michel. Well, he got smoked a couple of times.
Was it incredible? Was it like Courtney Laws all over again?
Pretty much. On the last kick to kick it out, somebody races on his legs, and he basically did a spin on him and then whacked again on the floor. Poor thing. He's a bit of a human cannonball, but no, he did well. They all did well. Big tough old game. Just, I think Clermont are on tracks, but I have to say, I must admit, I think La Rochelle are looking very, very dominant. Bordeaux are back. Okay, they've won again another bonus point victory against Bayonne. They just blew them away. But Lyon, Bordeaux, be careful with La Rochelle. I think they will be
dangerous. The best bit of that game for me, I'm not sure if you saw it with your old mate Jed Riziak with Skelton. Did you see them having a kiss in the middle of the pitch? Yeah. If you haven't seen it, get on YouTube and look that up. That was exceptional. I absolutely loved it.
And we don't need to talk about the game, but what about Sergio Parise's crossfield kick in the 2-1 brief game?
Majestic.
Legend. He can
Absolute
do it all.
Legend.
He can do it all. He said he was very happy after he chatted to us, and then just gives him wings, you know. He's on a high.
And Clermont-Leon looks like the big game this weekend, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. That's actually, we said that, you know, Brive was like a weird derby. Well, Lyon could pretty much be the derby as well because the new region is Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes, whatever. It's the same region now. Yeah, that's going to be big. A lot of guys have gone from Clermont to Lyon. Pierre Meunier, the coach, is a former Clermont. Raphaël Chaume, Lucette prop. Noah Nakatasi, the winger. Clément Ric, the tight head prop. There's a fair few of them. So there's a big rivalry. Xavier Sadourny, who's now the tax coach of Clermont, played a lot of Clermont, played 6 or 7 years in Lyon, and ended up being coach there. So there, you know, a lot of parallels. Big tests. I just hope they learned the lessons from the La Rochelle game because I think it will be pretty similar. Very hard hitting, very physical, top level, top 14, but a huge test for Clermont.
Also looking forward to Cast against Bordeaux. So the comeback of Christophe Urios and his old team, which didn't really finish on a great note. You know, when he left, they had an end of year dinner. I'm not sure if you know this, Benji. He left at end of year dinner at Cast and everyone was invited and he didn't rock up. Left a really bad taste in the mouth. A lot of players, a bit of resentment for him. So it'll be interesting to see how he's received in the stadium and by the Cast players. Even though there's not going to be that many people there, it's going to be interesting, but it'll be up close and personal for him. Also, the fact that he's looking to poach a few of the Cast team. Antoine Tichy, he's looking to take him, as Lou said, probably had at Oyonnax. Also, Benji Urbaleta, the 10, the Argentinian boy that he really likes, had at Oyonnax and Cast as well. So interesting, a few bits and bobs going on at Pierre Fabre, and the stadium next week should be a cracker on Saturday.
You mentioned a couple of rumours there. Another...
There's
Marcus Smith from Quins to Leon. Can you see
no
that happening?
There's no way. I just think with Marcus Smith, he's got so much going for him now that, I mean, but you don't know. I mean, Leon could open the checkbook and it could be ridiculous and he might not be able to say no, but he's obviously got aspirations of playing for England. He's got ongoing conversations and dialogue with Eddie Jones. He's been tremendous, but I don't see a bloke like that who's still got international aspirations going at that age. He's only 20. There was other guys named in the press. You know, Danny Cipriani was on that short list. Obviously, his international ambitions are short. He's not going to get capped again, I don't think. He'd be more likely to come in and fill that void, but there's no way Marcus Smith is going to leave London age 20 to go to Leon. No chance.
I think Marcus Smith must have the same agent as Teddy Thomas, who then got a rumor of signing in Toulouse or Montpellier, whatever, and he's just doing a grand job, because you put that and then you get a phone call and it says, Eddie Jones, don't go anywhere, mate. We'll keep you here.
We'll look after you.
Smart tactic, but he's not. I don't see him going anywhere, or at least he shouldn't.
Do you know who has the best agent in France right now? Is Joe Joseph. So the Racing number 8, he has been looked at by everybody apparently. Toulon, La Rochelle, Montpellier, apparently. Like, his agent is doing some great work. He's all over the press. So, but that's it. You've got guys now. Everyone's looking for number 8s. I think you've got 6 top line number 8s probably finishing end this year with Kaino, Anthony Claassen. You've got some top class guys. So everyone is clamoring for these back row boys. You've got Tolaine, who's just moved from Bordeaux to Montpellier. He's already signed. He's a good big ball carrier. So Joe Joseph at Racing, who apparently isn't going to stay there, is hot property, and apparently everybody wants him, or so his agent says.
The amount of games you're covering this weekend, Johnny, I thought you were going to say yourself then for the best agent in France.
I'm done. I'm done.
Thanks, Johnny. Thanks, Benji. And thanks to everyone for listening as well. Make sure you hit subscribe, leave us a review, watch us on YouTube as well. And we'll be back with another episode next week. Cheers, guys.
Cheers fellas.